My opinion is based on having been a 9/11 terrorist analyst for a few years, having predicted it, and as a international legal negotiator, starting with the Fortune 500. Is the Iran deal a great deal? Are we better off than we were beforehand? And I have to say, I'm sorry, but if you look at the facts, we're way worse off. Here's why. Uh, Trump himself criticized Obama for his JCPOA that froze the nuclear program, allowed international energy inspectors come in, make sure they weren't enriching. It had multiple countries signed up, and they were abiding by it until Trump canceled the deal in his first term, right? Which kind of rolled up where it's more serious. However, our own intelligence people said to Trump, no, they are not an immediate threat. They do not have a bomb. But Netanyahu convinced Trump to go ahead and do it because that's been his plan for decades. All right. And so we went into a war with no plan, which is never a good sign, right? So what happened? Well, we threw all of our $2 million missiles at Iran. They fired back their $20,000 drones. We ate up a bunch of our inventory. 13 of our soldiers were killed because they were never told to prepare for a drone attack because we haven't changed our military strategy despite watching what's happening in Ukraine. So our Pentagon was not on top of it with a former Fox guy as their leader. And so, and the other thing the Iranians did that was quite unique, instead of just attacking us in Israel, da da da, back and forth, right? Hey, all you Arab allies of America, you're going to pay too. So missiles went into not houses, into their oil facilities. You hit them in the wallet, right? Oh my God, they're crying uncle because we hit LNG tanks. They did. That will take months, if not years, to repair. And all these other oil facilities, on top of bottling up all the oil going through the strait every day that have been doing it for forever, no tolls, international waterway, da da da. What Trump did is he basically allowed himself to get trapped where Iran now knows they can shut down the international waterway, like make it a toll bridge. And now the Red Sea, the Panama Canal, everything goes through here. We're going to charge a toll. They never had that before, not under Obama, not under anything before. And the gets worse, folks. Now we're going to, Trump complained that Obama paid almost 2 billion of Iran's own money, gave it back to him as part of the deal to be good boys. Well, Trump's going to pay them 34 billion that they admit to, and under the table it could be as much as 300 billion that I've heard floating around, but we don't know because nobody's shown us any paper to know that any of this is actually real, right? We've only heard that we had a deal like 38 times in a row. So now we've got dollar and a half more expensive oil that we see every day. We go to the gas station. All the diesel fuel that transport our food goes in the food price increases. The tariff rates that Biden had inherited due to COVID brought it down to, roughly about almost 2.5%, is now 3.8% under Trump because tariffs raise prices, gas wars raise prices, and it's a hell of a situation. So, on top of losing our soldiers, all the billions from our AWACS plane that the Russian Putin, Trump's buddy, was giving Iran targeting information on where we were keeping our expensive stuff. So the Iranians blew it up. They know how to aim where they know where to aim at. And Trump doesn't even say anything to Putin about it. Like, what the heck, dude? Whose side are you on? And so now we're in a situation where nothing is better. Everything is actually worse. Um, People have died, schoolgirls to our soldiers, billions of our inventory lost, and 2 or 3 years to build back. China can now take advantage. Oh my gosh, they see the Americans stupidly burned up a bunch of their missile inventory that takes 2 to 3 years to redo. Now might be our time to move on democratic Taiwan that we're lusting after all these years, just like Putin was lusting after democratic Ukraine all those years. And Trump asleep at the wheel. In fact, literally falling asleep during cabinet meetings, so they're not worried about him. All they got to do is blow some smoke up his rear end, and he go, "Oh my God, they love me, and I'll give them all the information they want. Give away the farm because I'm a great negotiator. I have six bankruptcies that we're now running a $2 trillion a year deficit in the budget from all the crazy spending on the arch, the thing, the pool, the whatnot, the word. It's like we're going to have a UF's fight on the grounds and in the middle of a war. This is crazy town, folks. This is clown show nutso stuff. Not even if you want to even get to the dementia thing, that when you've got 22 doctor specialists, I'm 76. I have maybe two or three specialists at most. So that ought to tell you something right there. So we are definitely worse. The Iranians now have more hardline regime, no regime change. No, Trump killed the guy, the top Ayatollah, who actually opposed the nuke. Now you got the hardliners in charge. How is that better? And now they know they can switch on and off the strait at will. The only one little silver lining that came out of this is the world realized, oh my God, we got this oil addiction problem. And so they've gone whole hog, wind, solar, battery backups, uh, even more of the modular nuclear reactor things, because um, when 20% of your oil is coming through this narrow strait, with somebody's got a basic gun to the head of the world, then do something different. There's no toll on the sun and the wind coming down. They'll be charging. That's why the clean energy makes so much sense because there's no fuel costs involved in getting electricity out of it. Whoa, and no pollution. So there we are. We are in worse shape with Iran. We've uh, alienated all of our allies. I mean, the man, I don't, what the hell? He loves the dictators, but our allies, he's always got to pick a fight with everybody. This is insane. These 3 o'clock in the morning, I hate him and them and the rant. I'm yelling at clouds, crazy old, crazy uncle stuff. As president with the nuclear codes, how is that good for America? No matter who you are on the political spectrum, right? You really want somebody without of their tree making deals. I mean, come on, that's like, yeah, you're going to drive a bus with 1,000 foot drop off with a driver who's acting erratic and yelling at everything and swerving into the pit because, hey, that might be fun. So there we are. Having predicted 9/11, I predicted it doesn't take a person that has vision to see we're worse off. Oh, and by the way, the Republicans say if they become, reelected in November, their next thing is to kill Social Security, something that we, vast of millions of Americans, vast majority of us, need to live on. Hello, me included. So, where is that saying? We spent billions on a stupid war that didn't need to happen instead of subsidizing healthcare and taking care of people, right? Getting the prices down, not having the stupid tariff, that kind of thing. All these stupid, I'm going to tax you because I feel offended by, the fact that you're not locking up the guy who tried to pull a coup in Brazil. I mean, this is like Don Corleone, this guy elected president, and it's kind of like I'm going to pay my guys that did the mob thing on January 6th, and I'm going to, make deals with Putin. And I wanted a Moscow hotel that I never told you about when I was campaigning to begin with because he helped me out get elected. And now I'm kind of pretty much ripping up America to help him. Who else would fire all of our top researchers and science programs and now our ocean buoys and, kill wind so the energy prices go up because you got lack of supply. We got more data centers using more power. Economics 101, you know, more supply, lower price, less supply, higher price. All of those things. We've got nimbos in charge that don't have a clue. So Trump has made it worse. Iran is stronger than they were. weirdly enough, not the guys who really want to be stronger. They got more radical people in charge because of Trump's actions. Had he done nothing, we'd be better off. So there we are, America. Um, Stop electing the Republican Congress that let him do the batshit crazy stuff that is, running up our debt to now 40 trillion, nearly a third of that, at least over 25% of that, from one man, Trump, in just 5 years, holding a debt that took 250 years to build up. In 5 years, Trump has, like added like God, how many trillions? 10 trillion to it already. And spent, oh, I got to have a monument and a pool thing and a this thing, and couldn't in the middle of a war. I got to have a circus clown fight kind of deal. What the hell? I mean, this is pretty much, what's that movie? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is cuckoo stuff. And if you go along with cuckoo, that makes you crazy too, right? And I'm going to go along with the inmates in the asylum here rather than being the person in charge. So listen, the guy with six bankruptcies, now bankrupt in America. He's done great damage to our military, to our economic viability, to our alliances. Nothing good for America as a whole. All for him. He filled his pocket with billions. And that will all come out when you start paying attention to the actual facts. Not to mention, they're still hiding the Epstein files that he's in 38,000 times because innocent people do not hide files. The lawyer part of me and logical reasoning part of you should tell you that. So no, we are better. We're not better off as a result of Iran. We're far worse off, and it will continue to degrade until you switch Congress in November, because we got to have somebody to stop the crazy clown show and the insanity. And it does get worse. I lived with dementia. It does get worse. It never stays the same, never gets better, and it gets more of, you know, crazy town as you go. And if my partner didn't have, the nuclear codes in doing it, she had a lot more brains than Trump ever will. And so buckle up and subscribe to stay tuned to the updates, because I suspect it's going to be a lot of more crazy clown stuff to try to sort out. And don't let it continue, Americans. If you've got half a brain left, this not be the idiocracy and go along with idiot stuff. We're not doing the JFK best and brightest. We're doing the Dumb and Dumber routine. Michael Fella, until next time, stay tuned.